Should we get the frivolous stuff out of the way and then tidings be
Appendect-isode.
the meat of the episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the frivolous stuff?
6 people imploding.
Titan submersible. I'm just trying to figure out if my appendix is the frivolous thing.
No.
Or if it was the unexpected death of 6 people in a non-seaworthy submersible that James Cameron called the worst shit I've ever seen. It's a paraphrase. Yeah, let's do that first. Let's talk about that first. Shall I start?
I think you should start.
Okay.
But pretend you're starting from beyond the grave.
Welcome to Text Me Back, the only podcast hosted by a ghost who died of appendicitis. I'm Magul Hatcher Maze.
And I'm scared for my life.
Welcome to Text Me Back. We're doing it.
We're doing it. Megan's back. She has only one tiny hole perforating her abdomen.
I have 3 little holes.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah, one is in my belly button, and the other 2 makes it look a little triangle. And that's how they got her right on out of there.
But save it.
It.
That's the big reveal at the end of the episode.
That's right. I forgot we're starting with trivialities.
Yes.
A new segment we're calling Trivialities.
Trivialitidings. Today's episode is a tidings extravaganza because it's been too long since we've caught up. So we got a tidings extravaganza. We're starting with trivialitidings, and then we're going into appenditidings.
Yes.
And that's the plan.
What you called appendect-isode.
It's our appendect-isode. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Shall we start with the trivialitidings?
Yep.
We don't have a tidings song. I guess I could just play Snake of the Week.
No, we'll just add. We'll add it. Yeah, calm down, Megan. You got to save Snake of the Week, or it's gonna stop being special.
Somehow could we call my appendix a person using bad ethics and systems, and then we could play segment pubes.
Yes, that is
great. We'll save
legit.
that for later in the episode.
But for right now, let's turn to our old friend Robert.
Oh yeah! Oh my God, we have a tidings song.
Oh, I thought you just meant you didn't have it queued up on the thing. You forgot that we have our most iconic song. What is it? I'm sorry. Did the Dr. Evangelista ectomy your brain?
I got a lobotomy as well. When I was at the hospital, I forgot to tell you because they took that part of my brain out.
Well, okay. I guess you can't be blamed then. That's fair.
We do. Oh my God, we do have a tidings song, and I'm gonna play it right now. 1 second. I guess I just think that's evidence that we haven't done this. We haven't caught up in so long.
It's true.
I forgot that there was a literal Grammy Award adjacent banger of a song that was bespokely arranged just for us.
Yeah. And you threw it in the trash.
Right into the trash bin of brain.
Yep.
That's what I did. Where's that magic mind?
I know.
Oh boy. Oh boy. And some additional pharmaceuticals. Lindy, your trivialitidings?
Yeah, so I've started a new video game. So
go on.
First of all, I finished the most recent draft of my book, which was a long time coming. The previous draft, thank you. Previous draft I finished in February. End of February. Basically first day of March. Sent it off. My editor was very busy with many other manuscripts. She was kind of like, I don't have time to look at this right now. And so but it needed a lot of work. And okay, pulling back the curtain on publishing. It's not like the movies. I think unless you're like Stephen King probably or something.
Yeah.
I always think about the movie Wonder Boys. So Michael Douglas plays this old novelist who wrote one big novel that was like an immediate classic, and then now he's kind of stuck on his second novel. He can't. Katie Holmes is in it. She plays one of his students. So he's just like a writing professor, and he lives in a bungalow. Remember when people with normal jobs could like have a house? Anyway,
live in a bungalow.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he's just like working on his big follow-up novel, and he's been working on it for like 15 years, and like everyone's mad at him and they think he's a one-hit wonder or whatever, but he's like choking. And the more he writes, the further away the end of the book seems to get. And Robert Downey Jr. plays his editor or his agent. I can't remember.
He must have been like a young buck back when this movie came out or something. A young hotshot.
He was probably
RDJ.
he was probably in his 30s. Yeah. It's not like Brat Pack era. It's 10 years after that. But
like early 2000s this came out? Late 90s?
I saw it in college. Jeff Stone was a big fan, my friend Jeff, in college, and he made me watch it. So that would have been like 2002. So it had to have come out late 90s. So anyway, Robert Downey Jr. plays either his agent or his editor. I can't remember. And he like flies out to this town and spends like weeks.
He spends publisher money
Yeah.
to fly himself to Michael Douglas's bungalow.
Yeah, to try to like get him to finish his manuscript,
Because he's got to sell them books.
Yeah.
You know?
So I guess in my head, I was always like, yeah, you have a dedicated editor that you have this relationship with, and Robert Downey Jr. is going to fly to my town, and he's going to, get a hotel room, and he's going to come over to my house every day.
Yeah.
And help me with my book until
he's
going to
make you a little soup. He's going to cover you with a little Afghan, and he's going to be like, you got this, babe.
Correct. So anyway, that's not how it actually works at my level, at least.
What?
It's much more of a business where,
yeah.
And that is not the fault. I bet you every single one of these editors got into this job thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
But because of, as they say, end stage capitalism,
Perhaps you've heard of it.
No one has the time. There's just not the time.
I feel like everything is expend as little energy as possible to make as much money as possible, and that is not conducive to flying out to an author's bungalow.
Right. I mean, it's sort of like AI is like the final extension of this. It's like, what can we put in the least amount of effort that people will still buy, that still looks like a book?
Yeah.
And again,
it's like, and fully is derived from something that already exists and required no creativity or work
we don't want to
on the part of anyone.
As little human sweat as possible, because we have stripped our companies down to as few human beings as possible.
It's just the one lady.
It's just the one lady. So none of this is an indictment of the agents and the editors and the publishers. Everyone is passionate about books. I just think there's not the time.
Yeah.
And the woman power.
Yeah.
So anyway, my editor was like, okay, I got 6 other manuscripts on the same day as yours that all have actual pub dates scheduled, because my book doesn't have a pub date yet. So she was like, I can get to this in a few months. And I was like, you know what? Let me take it back. In all my previous books, I was too much of a procrastinator to even attempt to do the real, what I imagined to be the editor-author relationship. I turned all of them in on the last day, basically. And so I had to just edit them myself, kind of. I didn't give the editor any room to help me. So this book, I was like, I'm going to be a participator, and I'm going to send it early, and then I'm going to massage it with my lovely editor. And then she was like, I'm so tired. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I should not have sent you this bag of scraps and been like, please. So I was like, I'll take it back. I'll do another pass. And then, of course, that took me March, April, May, June, July, August, 6 months.
Whatever.
Oops. But I rewrote the whole book, basically. And I just finished that. All of which is to say, that was just supposed to be a setup.
This is about a video game.
All of which is to say, I have now. Also in that time, by the way, my imprint folded, and I got moved. My editor got laid off. I don't even work with her anymore. My precious angel publicist Michelle, who has been with me since Shrill got laid off. Anyway, it's very, very devastating. So now I have a whole new team. Oh, love Michelle. So now I have a whole new team that I don't even know, but they all seem wonderful. But anyway, so there's just like been drama. So it was a big relief to send this document off last week. And then I was like, guess what? It's fucking on. I have a list this long of all this long. And here, if you're watching this audioly, I'm putting one hand up in the air and one hand down by the floor. I have a list this long of video games that I need to catch up on.
It's a regular Santa's list.
It's Santa's scroll.
Is that what he calls it? Santa's list?
It is, yeah. He's making a list and he's checking it twice.
But that's what he calls it. He says, this is Santa's list.
I don't know him, Meagan.
You don't know him? What?
He's very cliquish.
Yeah.
He's gatekeeping.
I've heard that about him.
So I got a list a mile long. I got Santa's list a mile long of video games that have been naughty and nice that I need to catch up on. So I started a game over the weekend called Cult of the Lamb. Now this is a very
stressful,
spooky,
immediate stress.
Spooky. Yeah. So very famous game. Made all the best games of the year lists, whatever. People love this game. It's been on my list for a few years. I think it came out a couple years ago. I've been like, oh, maybe I'll play that. It sounded a little bit scary, and it's also like a format that's not exactly my format. But I was like, knitting celebrity James M. Watts reminded me of it because I was like, what game should I play, James? And then he was like, I have Cult of the Lamb on my list. And I was like, oh yeah. So I play so much of this game over one weekend, Meagan, because Aham and Roya were in Portland watching sophisticated performance art. So naturally, I stayed on.
Sure. Yep.
I stayed on my couch. I gave the dog a trazodone so he'd leave me alone. I stayed on my couch and I played this video game so much that I think I have given myself tendonitis of the elbow from sitting with my Switch, with my Switch crunched up against my face. Oh God, my elbow hurts. So now I have to take a break. I just got back into my lifestyle and now I have to take a break for my health. But the thing I wanted to tell you about this video game, I can't overstate how huge of a video game this was. Everyone on Earth was like, this video game is so fun. We're playing it. It's normal. It's normal video game. And
it's normal video game.
And the plot of the video game is that you play a little lamb, which is on brand for me. I am a little lamb.
You are.
I know.
Yes.
I know. So I play a little lamb and I start a cult. So the whole game it has two parts. One part is that you go out and you gallivant around and you kill little monsters with your sword and you collect items and you bring them back to your little town, your little cult compound.
Yeah.
Which you are also
commune, I guess.
And then the other part of the game is like it's kind of like Sim City. You're like managing your little area. And you're building little buildings.
Okay.
And so you have all these, you're recruiting, you have to give sermons every day so that they stay indoctrinated. And
boring.
You perform, no, it's not. You perform rituals where you can like sacrifice them. But then when you do a sacrifice, some of them love it, but some of them are like, I don't know about that.
I think that's weird.
Yeah. And then you have to do all this mundane stuff too. Like you have to collect food and you have to cook for them and make sure they have food. Because if they get hungry, then they start to be like, I don't know about this guy. I don't know about this cult. I don't know. Their faith starts to waver.
Oh dear.
So anyway, you just gradually build it up. And there's not that many different mechanics that your followers do. Your followers will pray to your statue. They will complain about being hungry. They will water the garden. And they will take big shits on the lawn, Meagan. They take
my God.
Big stinky dumps all over the place.
Jesus.
And then
why?
There's like a stinky dump meter. There's 2 meters. One is...
Why do they do this?
Meagan, I'm not even done. There's 2 meters that you have to track. One is their hunger meter. And the other one is their fucking sick pestilence meter,
Oh.
which if they take too many dumps,
Oregon Trail had a pestilence meter.
It's like that. It's like that, but then they
Yes.
take it further, Meagan. So the pestilence meter, yeah, if you don't go around and clean up all their dumps, then they start to get sick. And then they infect each other, and you have to individually go around and tell them to go to bed. So, so I'm out here, I'm building them little tents. I'm cooking their food. I'm cleaning up their shit. And it's
why do you have to do that? Can't you delegate this to an acolyte? Why is this happening?
For some reason, I'm the only person that can pick up the shit. Which does not seem right, because I can delegate them to do other stuff. I can delegate them to chop wood, but they can't go pick up their own poop. And even when I built them an outhouse, even when I leveled up their outhouse to a deluxe outhouse, first of all, they still poop on the lawn. Sometimes.
Why?
And second, I don't know, Meagan. And then second of all, I still have to empty the outhouse. Why? But it doesn't stop there, Meagan. You haven't even heard the part that I wanted to tide you about. And I don't think this is a spoiler, because I swear to God this happened in the first 10 seconds of my playthrough. Is that I recruited a new follower, and the follower comes up to me and is like, "Hey, great leader." And like with the energy of the green M&M is like, "Hey, great leader.
Hi.
I've always wanted to know what it would be like to eat a bowl of poop. Can you help me with that?"
Dude.
And then it's like, "Do you accept this quest?" And I was like,
"No."
"Well, I want the points, Meagan, so you always accept the quest." So I was like, "Okay." So then I go to the kitchen, and it gives me the option now in the menu, if I have poop in my inventory, which I always do, it's, "Okay, you want to cook a bowl of poop?" And so then
why do you have to cook it?
I don't know, but you cook it in the kitchen, and then the person, the follower, goes over and is like, "Nom, nom, 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 nom." And then they get sick. And then
no kidding.
I know. And then I started to notice that some of the people coming into the cult, if I paid closer attention, it says that they have the coprophilia trait, where they like to eat poop.
Oh, yes. Some dogs have that.
Yes. Well, and all the characters in this game are little animals. You know how I'm a lamb?
Oh, okay. Well,
but they can talk, and
I revoke everything I was upset about before. Of course they're shitting on the lawn. I thought they were human beings.
I guess that makes sense, but they're anthropomorphized. Like they wear clothes, they talk, they have a religion,
Okay. Do any of them use the outhouse?
Yeah, some of them use the outhouse.
Oh, some of them do.
Yeah.
Some of them are more refined than others, I guess.
I think it's when they get sick and then they can't make it to the outhouse in time, they just shit on the ground, which I guess is understandable. But
sure.
So again, the game doesn't let you do that many different things. But one of the things it does is make you feed bowls of poop to people. A lot.
Great.
And
I'm
then
glad
sometimes
that you're having a nice time relaxing after finishing your book.
Sometimes they'll come up and be like, "Hey, great leader, let's do a prank on Thorgus and make him eat a bowl of poop. And do you accept this quest?" And I'm like, "I guess." And then
Why is it always so sexy?
I don't know.
Gross.
Well, I guess I'm adding that, but that's the vibe.
I guess I'm adding that.
And anyway, and then you make Thorgus, who doesn't have the coprophilia trait, eat the poop, and then he's so sad.
Why would you do that to Thorgus?
Because
what did he ever do to you? Other
I don't
than
know.
love you.
But anyway, I played it all weekend. I played it to the point of injury, and it's just like such a bold move to be like, let's have one of the things they do is poop eating. And there's some other perverted stuff that happens later in the game, but that would be a spoiler to talk about, so I'm not going to. But
yes,
wow.
For spoiler reasons, I don't want to hear about it. Definitely.
Now I want to tell you.
I never even put on my cool glasses. I never entered my fugue state where you're telling me
That's because it was so interesting.
Yeah, no, totally. Totally. Well, thanks for sharing. I love that info.
You're welcome. If you've played Cult of the Lamb, reach out. I want to hear what you think.
I have the phone number memorized. Lindy doesn't.
Oh, you listened to my
I listened to it.
My intro and outro?
I did. It was funny. I heard you say girthy, and it's a good thing I'm back to clean this up. It's disgusting. This is a podcast for children. We've established that. Yeah, if you've played this weird game and you make other animals eat poop and you want to talk about it with Lindy, 703-829-0003. That's the Best Friend Party phone. You can leave us a voicemail or send us a text. By the way, you can call us anytime and leave a voicemail about anything. Some weeks we're like, God, I wish we could play something from the old Best Friend Party phone.
Yeah.
And it's tumbleweeds in there, man. So if you have like a funny story, will you send it to us? It saves us a lot of time. 703-829-0003. Thanks.
If you're like, hey, I'm not getting paid to help you guys make this show.
No, call the number.
But also, don't worry. Neither are we.
Hey, we don't do capitalism on this show, bud. We're living our values. Ever heard of it? Well, that was a good trivialititing.
Thank you.
I have a quick trivialititing as well. And actually, it implicates the Best Friend Party phone. This is why the Best Friend Party phone is so important, is because people can reach out and tell us really critically important pieces of breaking news. There I was minding my business. I want to say this was like a Friday evening. This was before I was betrayed by my appendix. And we got a message from Jacqueline in Ottawa, who had just returned home from Ottawa Comic-Con. And she sent me an image, which we will post on our Instagram, of the one and only Dante Basco in full Rufio regalia. And she writes, husband and I. So first of all, husband, well done. Husband siren. Husband siren.
If someone can make us a little husband, what do they call it?
Like a rap air horn.
Husbands. We do need a husband alarm.
Alarm. We need a husband alarm. So she says, husband and I got this for you at Ottawa Comic-Con. Dante regaled us with his funky experience filming with the band, and we told him to guest on your podcast. And I responded, oh my God, Jacqueline, this is amazing. Was he horrified that somebody remembered Funk Blast? And Jacqueline responded, he was so excited. If anything, he was bummed we hadn't actually seen it for ourselves. I was reading this message and just like doing the Arsenio Hall like air fist. I was like, yes, 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 yes. Jacqueline, this kicks ass. It was amazing. I wish I could have been there to see his face when you brought up the Archangel of Funk.
This makes me love him. My love for him was already so large, and my love has grown 3 sizes this day.
Yeah,
for Dante.
It's so good. I can't wait for everyone to see the photo. He signed it, stay on the ones and always keep it funky, Dante Basco.
Okay, so I have to know if they reminded him of the catchphrase.
Yes, I do need to know that. Jacqueline, please write in and let us know if he just like had that at the ready, or if you were like, because it's so funny. And she said he wanted to talk to them for a long time, and they were like, we actually haven't seen it. And he was like bummed out. It's so funny.
Oh my God, Dante, come on the podcast, please.
Oh
my God, Meagan, it's because when you're 18, 19 years old, you don't think that eventually you will have a chance to talk to all of the people in your all of the like characters in the lore of your inside jokes.
It's like we're knocking them down like bowling pins. We got screenwriter Brian Daly. We got freaking Dante Basco of Funk Blast. Like, who's next? The freaking Archangel of Funk? James Brown's CGI'd face?
I wonder how many people from Funk Blast are still alive that we could potentially get. George Clinton is dead?
George Clinton. No, he's still
He's alive.
Around.
Bootsy Collins died.
No,
alive?
I think he might still be alive.
Can we get all of Parliament? Sorry, I thought everyone from Parliament was dead.
No, like most of Parliament, I think, is still cruising. I do think the trick is to stay funky and just keep doing drugs. Like, you just can never stop doing it. You have to sort of drug in your insides, and then you kind of live forever. You know?
Yeah,
Thank God.
Like a thing that George Clinton has mastered is also staying perfectly still. If the Donald Trump theory is correct, that you have a certain number of calories to burn, George Clinton is like,
his funky good time is just one little hop, and then he doesn't move for the rest of the show. Have you seen those videos of Frankie Valli?
Oh my God, where they wheel they just a dolly
and they just sort of like lift up his one wax arm to gesture to the audience, and he's and it just doesn't move.
The man lie down and go to sleep. Let the man rest.
Let him permanently rest, because he's not with us right now. So I just want to say, Jacqueline, I honestly, I can't articulate what this means. It's truly the most amazing story you could have ever sent us. And I didn't talk to Lindy about this in advance, but I did text her and tell her that she has been entered into the Text Me Back-a-Lite Hall of Fame. Yeah. So I've invented a Hall of Fame. Jacqueline and husband are in it.
I think that's
we will enter others as the show goes on. Obviously, there are already others, illustrious backlights already in the hallowed halls of the Text Me Back-a-Lite Hall of Fame, such as Robert. Yes, who wrote the famous song that no one could ever forget. Excuse me, he arranged it. Anyway, so I just want to say thank you, Jacqueline, and thank you, husband. I'm so excited for everyone to see this picture on our Instagram, because it is, you're all gonna die. There's no one's gonna download the show ever again, because you'll all be dead.
Maybe we need this podcast to get famous enough that we go to Comic-Con, and then we can have a booth next to the Dante Basco booth.
Dante Basco. And we can be like, hey, last time you were in Ottawa, did you meet a woman named Jacqueline and her husband? She was there on our behalf. So good. So I just want to share that trivialitating. Up next,
it's not trivial.
It's not trivial. You know what? It's not trivial at all. It's one of the most important things that's ever happened.
Yeah, it is.
I'm sorry.
To anyone.
To anyone. I'm looking at you, history books. Right at you. All right. Well, that's the new segment we're calling Trivialititings. Up next, Appendect-isode, but we also wanted to share some a Barry medical update, so we're going to call this one Tidings.
Hospitidings. No, but
Hospitalitidings.
I don't like that. I want it to be appendicitidings, and then Barry's eyeball is just a little postscript. Because, by the way, don't get excited. It's not interesting.
All right.
His eyeball's fine.
Okay, and that's Metatidings. Coming up, Appendect-isode. You've been waiting a whole week to hear a very uninteresting story about the removal of an organ that nobody needs. Right after this.
Text Me Back is sponsored by BetterHelp. Hey, Meagan, what's something that you would love to learn? Like, as an adult, do you still make time to learn new things as often as you'd like? Or was that something you left behind in childhood?
You know, when I was a kid, I felt like I was always learning new things and I had a lot of curiosity, but as an adult, maybe not so much.
Okay, here's something you might not have thought of. Therapy can help you reconnect with your sense of wonder, because your back to school era can happen at any age. Newsflash, breaking news. Let's go. That might sound like a stretch, but it's not. I can actually attest that since I started therapy in, 2019, before that, I was depressed and sad, and I didn't do anything except for sit down and cry. And since starting therapy, literally, this is true. Now I garden, I make ice cream, I'm learning Norwegian, I freaking decorated my house. I went on a road trip to Florida and back. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there is this way that therapy gave me the interior space to actually have interest and engagement with the world again.
Yeah, I think for me, it's sort of the same. I spend less time focusing on my anxieties and more time absolutely crushing my reading challenge for 2024. Do you know what I mean?
What's your reading challenge? 52 books? Book a
No,
week?
it's very low. Please don't make me say it out loud.
Sorry. If you're thinking of starting therapy, why not give BetterHelp a try? I know something that kept me out of therapy for a long time was just the barrier to entry. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know where to start. But BetterHelp is entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule.
All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and switching therapists at any time is free, no additional charge. And let me tell you something. It is okay to switch therapists if you guys are not vibing. I've done it, you know? So
rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/textmeback today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/textmeback. Megan, it's been a lonely week for me.
yeah.
It's been actually a really hard week for me.
Mm-hmm.
I had to do the
I know.
show by myself.
I know.
I didn't have my best friend to talk to. And I think you owe me an apology.
I do want to say, when I was in the hospital, all I could think of was, how's Lindy doing? You know?
No. Okay, but let's hear it. Let's get the full story.
Yeah,
Let's get a play-by-play starting at the very beginning.
Okay. Well, I want to say one thing before we get into this. One is, I know this is kind of boring. People get their appendices out all the time.
I don't think it's boring.
But this is the first time anything like this has ever happened to me before. And it's kind of thrown me into a little bit of a tailspin, if I can be vulnerable for a second, where I just feel like I've never been hospitalized. Like, I've been to the hospital, I've been to the ER, but I've never been admitted. I've never like spent the night in the hospital. And I have like this just kind of delulu belief that nothing bad is ever really going to happen to me. Like, I'm scared of stuff for sure, but I just don't think anything, like, I'm not going to die. Like, that's ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
that's stupid.
I know.
I've never, come on, like, give me a break.
Because my life is the main one.
Yeah. Like, what would you all do if I was dead? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
That's ridiculous.
You know? So this happened and it really threw me for a loop. Like, I'm just kind of like managing it while it was happening. But after, it's been a little bit difficult. It turns out this was kind of traumatizing because I just was like, oh my God. Did you know that anything could happen to you?
Yeah.
At any time? Are you aware of this? Are you guys hearing this? Anything could happen to you at any time. So, you know, so I was like, told my husband, I was like, can you stay home? Something might happen.
Yeah.
Nothing did, but you know, you just never know.
It's funny because
I've moved on a little from that, but that's where I was at emotionally.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, Megs. You
It's
know,
okay.
I'm a worrier.
Yeah.
And so I'm often thinking, like, yesterday, Roya was in the bathroom. And so I couldn't find her for approximately 2 minutes. And then in my head, I thought she fell and
She's dead.
She hit her head and she died.
Yeah.
And so then I went running around the house screaming, Roya, where are you? And she was like, I'm going to the bathroom.
I'm doing my business. Thanks for your concern, though.
I understand that feeling. Although I'm also kind of the same where, like, I've never had a major medical issue. Like, there's kind of nothing wrong with me, you know?
Right. That's how I feel. And I feel like I'm already somebody who doesn't really go to the doctor that much anyways. I just feel like going to the doctor is so dramatic. Like, why would you do that? You know, it's like, that's so crazy. That's insane.
I was surprised when you were like, I'm going to urgent care. I was like,
well,
oh, wow, okay.
I'll tell you what happened.
Yeah.
So Tuesday night was the night so by the time you hear this would have happened, I think probably 2 weeks ago. But the Tuesday night, the night of the debate, I'm watching the debate and I don't feel great. But I've been having like indigestion anyway, so I just was like, it's probably just that, whatever. And also a debate is something stressful to watch. and for the first time I discovered they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets. And so I was very stressed.
Yeah.
And so I was like, maybe I'm just stressed out from discovering the eating of the dogs and the cats.
Trauma lives in the body. So
I know. And I was like storing it like right in the appendix, right in the intestine, you know?
Yeah.
So then Wednesday, I still just like don't feel very good. I feel like a little nauseous, no appetite. And I was like, it's probably just, you know, regular GI stuff. Like, you know, being a woman is what it is. I'm in my 40s now. I was like, we'll let it move. And I'm sure I'll feel better once we've gotten some movement.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I don't feel better tomorrow, maybe I'll see if my doctor has any appointments.
In the meantime, maybe a little plop, plop, fizz, fizz.
Yeah. I was like, maybe I'll take a little Pepto or whatever. So then Wednesday night, I forced myself to eat something, even though I really didn't enjoy it at all, which is really rare for me. I love to consume my little snackies. And so Wednesday night, I forced myself to eat a pizza. And I was like, that was really gross. I really didn't like the taste of that. And I was like, well, that's weird.
Yeah.
So Thursday, I wake up and it's just weird. It's like this pain. It feels like indigestion pain, but it wasn't moving. It was just like on this one. It was on the right side of my stomach and it just was there and it hurt to press on it. But I'm like, it's not my appendix though, because I've heard that is like crazy painful. You're doubled over, you're screaming, crying, literally throwing up. And I was like, none of that is happening. It just is really uncomfortable. And I don't like this. So then I start doing my toxic WebMDing that morning.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I overslept my alarm. So I had plans to go to the gym on Thursday, which is so crazy. And I overslept and I just was like, well, I guess I won't go, whatever. Although I feel better. That's the lie I was telling myself on Thursday morning. So I was like doing some Googling and I was like, maybe it's a gallstone. And sometimes those clear up on their own. It does say it could be appendix, but I think the pain is maybe a little bit too high. But it did say like, if you start throwing up, you should go to the doctor. So I was like, well, we'll just see what happens. And so I, again, forced myself to eat something, even though I was like, I don't like this. Like, this doesn't taste good. Doesn't feel good to eat. I just was like, maybe I just need to eat something healthier. Like all I eat is like pizza these days. So like, maybe I should try to eat like a little salad or something.
No, that's worse.
No, that was worse. And I was like, oh, that was nasty. And then you texted me the day we were supposed to record. We usually record on Thursdays. And you texted me and you said, how do you feel about starting 30 minutes late? And I said, I feel great about it because I felt like shit. I felt so gross. And I was like, I'm just going to lay, but I'd like put my makeup on. I was like ready. But I was like, I'll just lay down for 30 minutes and I'm sure it'll be fine. I'll just like fart or something.
Yeah.
And it will all be cured. So I'm like laying down in bed and then the telltale signs of a puke is a coming. And I was like, oh dear. And so I go throw up. Poor Kevin comes tippy tapping into the bathroom and he puts his little paw.
Oh, mommy.
He put his little paw on my arm and he was like, hello, what's this? And I was like,
Get there, Kevin.
Yeah, I don't want you to see me like this, my son. It was rotten. Like, it was just like really, really horrible.
Yeah. Oh,
so even then I'm like, okay, no, that's an escalation. I'll see if my doctor has any appointments. She didn't. And then I have these friends I used to work with and we were all in a Slack together. The Sonia Stands, hello. And named after Sonia Sotomayor. We all used to work on court stuff together. And so I was messaging them. I was like, gut check, literal gut check. Is this gallstones? Have any of you had gallstones? And they were like, MHM, you need to go to the doctor. And I was like, I'm thinking I need to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
So
they were like, Sonia says gavel. Majority opinion, urgent care.
No dissents. Not even Clarence Thomas thinks you should stay home. Go to the doctor. So I did. So my husband, Adam, drove me to urgent care. I go to urgent care. I'm like throwing up at urgent care. They gave me a little, by the way, these things rock. I want to buy some of these for my house just in case, but they're these little, I'm sure you've seen these because of your mom was a nurse.
Oh, yes.
But there's these little plastic things, like bowls that you can puke in and
like
like
a
little extendy. Yeah, it's like a puke sock,
yeah.
plastic puke sock. Awesome. I was like living off those for the next 24 hours. So urgent care gave me one of those. I couldn't even keep water down. I was like puking up water. It was really, really
dangerous.
Bad. Yeah. And they took my heart rate and they were like, this is so high. This is not good. So fortunately, I wasn't at urgent care for that long. They take me back to the room. The doctor comes in and she literally takes one look at me. I'm like sweating at this point because I've been throwing up so much into my little puke sock. And she goes, well, you're going to the hospital. It's either gallstones or your appendix. And I was like, what? And she was like, you are severely ill.
Attenzione.
Attenzione intestine.
Attenzione intestine pocket. That's what your appendix is.
That's what she was doing. So, and even then I was like, you are so dramatic. It's just a little bit of puke. She was like, you need to go to the hospital. She's like, what hospital are you going to? And can somebody drive you or are you going in an ambulance? Because she was like, I cannot let you leave here unless somebody picks you up or you go somewhere in an ambulance. And I was like, oh God. And I was like, okay. So Adam had just dropped me off. I was like, you don't have to stay. I think I'm going to be here for a while.
Yeah.
So he had to come back and get me. And he took me to beautiful MedStar Georgetown University Hospital, which by the way, so I've lived in Washington, D.C. for 11 years and I've been to Georgetown, the neighborhood, 3 times. This was my 4th time ever going to Georgetown. It's just like, there's no way to get there because the residents blocked an expansion of the metro to the neighborhood because, safety and neighborhood character.
Yeah.
Wink. And also there's no reason to go there. It's like one of the worst places on earth. It's like if you're listening and you live in Seattle, it's like if U Village was a neighborhood. It's like all that's there is like what's that fucking close? Like an Everlane. So there's no reason to ever go there. Sorry, quick digression about Georgetown. The most interesting thing to happen to Georgetown was some guy who lives there got larger than life-size Transformers.
Oh yeah,
statues, and he put them outside of his house in Georgetown. And the local residents rose up in collective protest and was like, doesn't fit neighborhood character. Got to get rid of the Transformers. And they successfully petitioned the city to have them removed, and he had to remove them from the front of his house. I was like, I'm sorry, but that's the most interesting thing to happen to Georgetown since George Washington himself lived here. And you guys are no, get rid.
You guys never fucking shut up about personal liberty. And yet.
And you're going to sit here and say, I can't look at a little Transformer if I want to? Eat shit.
On his own land?
On his own property?
J'excuse-moi?
J'excuse-moi, as George Washington once said. So anyway, I go to Georgetown Hospital and it was... Oh man, I don't know if this is indicative. I don't know if the hospital's usually like this or if I just was there on a bad day, but I had to wait for 8 hours. I was sleeping on this tiny little couch
that
Meagan, they had.
You were dying.
I know. They didn't care at all. They just were like,
did you tell them about the podcast, Meagan?
That's what my friend said. They were like, don't they know your handle is @ImportantMeagan? I was like, they've never heard of me, dude. They've never heard of my ass. So I was on this tiny couch. Adam was there, but at one point he did go home to walk the dogs and then came back. But I'm just curled up in my sweats, puking into my puke sock. And it was so terrible. And I had to wait 8 hours to actually be admitted. Fortunately, I do want to clear something up. Fortunately, my appendix did not burst. At first they thought it was what they called perforated. So what can happen is if it's perforated. So what happens is, I guess, something can block your appendix and then your appendix gets really mad and starts spewing bacteria into your body. I guess all your appendix does is nothing except store bacteria. Yeah. And get mad. So when it gets mad, it starts spewing bacteria.
I know. I took some liberties with my description.
No. So I don't want people to be that scared. It didn't rupture. It didn't burst, but it really sucked. So I'm laying in this emergency room, and me and a couple other people had been there for the full 8 hours together. And I just want to say something. I'm not look, going to the ER is really scary and it's not fun. And so I understand people are upset when they go and they have to wait a really long time. But I promise you, the people who are working in the ER are just as upset as you are about it. There's really no need to pitch a fit. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to see you any faster just because you're mad.
Right.
So there were a couple people. There's one British guy who was like, we've waited 6 hours. And I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Your wife's not dying. Like, what do you think the word triage means, bro?
Right.
Like, I'm really sorry.
Go back to the NHS then.
Yeah.
Gov.
Dog. Govna. And then there's this other guy, like, not a wife guy, a fiance guy, who was just like so indignant that they hadn't brought his fiance back. And he was like, she's experiencing a life-threatening event. And I was like, well, she's clearly not. Otherwise, she'd be at the top of the triage list. And he was like kind of mad that I got seen before her. And I was like, in my defense, I did get here 2 hours before you did, sir. And second of all, I think I might be dying, if that makes you feel better. So I finally got pulled back there. I met my doctor, Dr. Chris, and he was like pressing on my stomach, and he was like, does it hurt here? Does it hurt here? And he pressed on my appendix, and I was like, gah, yes. And he's like, my guess is appendix. So we're just kind of chatting about what he was going to do. And he's like, we'll do some CT scans, see if we can take it out. And I was like, do you have to take it out? Can you just like shoot it up with some stuff? And he was like, no, you really do need to take it out. And I was like, I just feel like I've been betrayed. And I don't know why my appendix would do this to me. She really let me down. And then Dr. Chris said, she is not serving you. And she has to go.
Okay, I didn't know that Dr. Chris actually said that. I thought, because you told me that, and I thought you were just being funny.
No.
Oh my God, Dr. Chris. Is he single?
I don't know. Dr. Chris, if you're listening, which I 1000% guaranteed you're not. If you are, give us a call.
Not. You better not be, because that British guy's wife needs help.
I know. So much help. So I got some CT scans. So they looked at the scans and they were like, okay, bad news. It looks like your appendix is perforated. And when that happens, it releases its little appendix juices, and it'll make like a little abscess. And so when that happens, you can't remove it right away. They have to insert I'm sorry, trigger warning for appendix juice if you don't want to listen to this, but they have to like put in a drain. They have to install a drain into your gut, and it drains the stuff out of the appendix. And then you take antibiotics. And then once the abscess and the fluids are gone, then they can take it out. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to like walk around with a drain for 2 weeks with this like painful infection until I can finally get it out.
What if you did, and then it was draining into a little bag, and then in the little bag there were little fish?
Yeah, a little appendifish.
Yeah,
so cute. A little appendaquarium.
Appendaquarium. We should copyright that.
Yes, I'm on it. So I was like, okay. So they admitted me for real. I had to go into my own little room. Fortunately, I didn't have to share a room with anyone. I was just in there by myself. I was like hooked up to an IV the whole time I was there. They were giving me morphine, which was really nice. And then they were like, okay, we're going to go insert your drain. And I was like, weirdly a little pumped about it, because they were like, you get to have fentanyl and we're going to sedate you. And I was like, whoa. I was like, I never do drugs, you know? So I was like, this is exciting. I was like, the only drug I do is beverage, you know? I only do like rosé really. So I was like, God, this is going to be interesting. I never do drugs. So I go down for my second CT scan. By the way, everyone was so nice to me, and they were like, your nails are beautiful, dude. And I was like, thanks.
Did they say you had elegant hands?
I was waiting for someone to finally say I had elegant hands. And I talked to a bunch of doctors in between all this stuff, and some of them were like, one of them was like, you must be really stubborn. You must have been in so much pain. And I was like, I don't know how to describe it. It's not like it was painful. It was like, it was so uncomfortable, and I just knew something was wrong, but it wasn't like a searing pain where I was like doubled over and screaming. I was like, I'm somebody who's been hospitalized, or like sent to the ER for getting my period too hard. You know what I mean? Like, that hurt.
Yeah.
This was something else.
You're like, it's called personal fortitude, babe. Look it up.
Maybe you've heard of it. I was like, does that make sense? And she goes, no, it doesn't. And I was like, okay, well, never mind. Anyway, so then they brought me down for a second CT scan. Nurse was super nice. I wish I knew what her name was, because she was super, super nice. And they did another scan. And then the other doctor comes out, and he's like, all that fluid that we saw is gone. The abscess is gone. So you don't have to do the drain. We're just going to take it out. And I was like, great. I don't want her in there no more. This is the worst experience I have ever had. And I do not want to do this.
You know what she is? She's a fake friend.
She's a fake friend. And I had to cut her out of my life, literally. Literally. I ghosted her ass at Georgetown MedStar. So then it was just kind of like waiting. So that was Friday the 13th. Is when they were going to do the drain. And then they didn't end up needing to do it, but it was too late at that point to get the surgery on Friday. So Adam came back to the hospital and they were showing The Shining because it was Friday the 13th. So I watched The Shining and I don't know why I thought that would be a good idea. That movie is so scary.
Yeah.
And it's about like being alone and like anything could happen to you and like going crazy. And I was like, I feel a little bit of that right now.
Oh, and sleeping in the hospital is a nightmare.
It sucks. Yeah, it sucks. The bed was uncomfortable. They only give you one I guess I could have asked for more pillows, but you have to. I had to have an IV in the whole time, so I like sleeping with the IV in. It's so uncomfortable, and like going to the bathroom was a whole production because if there was nobody there to unhook me from the thing, I'd have to like bring the whole apparatus in. So it's just horrible.
And like someone comes in like every hour and is like,
yeah,
hello.
Yes, that's what was happening. They would come in like once every hour, a couple hours and be like, hi, I'm here to check your vitals. And then they'd be like, wow, your heart rate's really low. It's like, I know, bitch, I was sleeping. Like, why would it be higher than that? I was fully a dead ass asleep, dog. Like, go away. And then I also wasn't allowed to eat anything. And so then finally, like Friday night, Calvin, my king, my nurse came in and was like, I just now am seeing on your chart that you're scheduled for surgery tomorrow, which means you can eat something right now.
Woo!
And this was like 10:30. It's like, if you can get the kitchen to bring you something up before midnight, you can eat it. And I was like, oh my God, yes. But it had to be liquid. So all I got to eat was like beef broth, but they brought it up and I housed that shit. I was like, oh God, this is the best tasting thing I've ever tasted in my life. Calvin, thank you. Oh. It was so great. So then the next morning, Dr. Evangelista came in and she was like, I'm going to be your surgeon. I know you've met with a million surgeons already, but I am for real your surgeon and I'm going to take out your appendix. And then this lady rocks. And then I couldn't stop every time I talked about her being like, Dr. Evangelista, supermodel of Georgetown MedStar. She's so fancy. She doesn't get out of bed for less than 40,000. I'm obsessed with her, Dr. Evangelista. But she was like, I hate the appendix. She was like, I want to storm Congress and say, anybody over the age of 21 who wants to electively have their appendix removed should be able to do it for free. This organ, and she like had a whole speech about how much she hated the appendix. And I was like, Dr. Evangelista, and I was very high, and I was like, Dr. Evangelista, if you go to Congress, I want to come to Congress too, because I want to testify about appendix because I do not like her either.
You're like, I am close personal romantic friends with Mark Meadows himself. And
one of my top boyfriends. And I don't think he likes appendix either, girl. So that was very cute. And then they finally brought me down to the surgery area and took it out. And it's so weird to have surgery. I just have a gap in my life. I will never know what happened to me during that time. But yeah, they took me back and took out my appendix and I woke up and she was gone.
Do you think anyone gave you the finger while you were under?
Yeah, I think an anesthesiologist was like, eat shit, fucker, like right as I went to sleep. I was like waiting. I didn't realize they were putting me out like right then.
Yeah.
I always thought like they make you do a countdown or whatever. Yeah. So they bring me back to the actual surgery room and I get on the table and everything. And they put this little thing over my face. And I didn't really think that was the anesthesia. Yeah. So I was like talking to them and I was like, I have a dog named Kevin. And that's the last thing I remember.
And then you said what? You said what? You said goodbye.
Goodbye. I said, switching my mind back into anesthetist mode. So if I had died, my last words would have been Kevin.
That's appropriate though. That's a tribute that Kevin deserves.
That's true. So yes, I woke up and laid there, just like slept and tried to recover a little bit. And then they came in and said, how would you feel about going home today? And I said, I feel sensational about it. I don't want to be here. But it was weird. They were very like wary of asking me, like I was going to react poorly about the going home. And I was like, no, I don't want to be in this fucking place. You all are very nice. This is a very nice hospital and you've treated me very well. but I feel like it's $8,000 an hour to be here. I don't want to be here.
I've heard that sometimes people complain because hospitals like try to just like rush people through and kick people out early.
Yeah.
When they shouldn't be going home yet because they want to free up that bed. So maybe it was like there's some sort of new rule that's like, okay, you need to make sure that people actually are ready to go home or else we'll get sued.
Yeah. I was really ready.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd been there since Thursday, and this was like Saturday evening at this point. So they got me all ready. This is boring, but like they weren't able to actually give me the opioids for my pain because their pharmacy closes at 4 p.m.
Sure.
on Saturdays, and it's not open on Sundays at all. And then I was not able to get it from my local CVS either for reasons I still do not understand. And I was like, can you send it to a different CVS? And they were like, no.
I'm sorry, isn't there an epidemic?
I was like, do I have to buy this off the street from somebody? What the fuck? So the good news is the surgery was laparoscopic. It was not like an open. If it had ruptured, it would have been like an open surgery where they like open up my whole stomach, and it didn't rupture. There actually, once they took it out, there were no signs of perforation either. So that's good. So the recovery time is very short, like 3 to 7 days. I took like a week off of day job, LLC. I didn't actually really need the opioids, but again, I never get to do drugs. So I just thought it might be interesting. But I've been taking Tylenol and I never did. So I've been taking Tylenol and Advil, a little switcheroo every few hours.
Most important question of the day.
Yes, go ahead.
Did they let you keep her? Did they let you keep your
in a little jar.
Appendix in a little jar like a placenta? And then did you plant her beneath a weeping willow tree?
My appendix tree. I didn't ask, and now I'll regret that for the rest of my life.
Coin purse.
I really do only have one appendix to give, But if you get yours out, you should ask if you can keep it.
I'll give mine to you.
Can I tell one last story?
Please.
So then I'm getting ready to leave, and my final nurse there, full on maniac, parentheses, complimentary. I was obsessed with this lady. She, the really nice thing happens in the hospital where the hospital is freezing cold. It was the first time in my life I was cold, and I was like, I kind of do like this. Can I stay a little bit? And then they come and just put warm blankets on you. They keep the blankets in some sort of warming device. And this lady turned me on to, I guess you can buy them over the counter.
For your house?
She's like, you can just buy them off Amazon. I keep my towels. I keep my linens and my towels in my bathroom in this warming device. And I was like, oh shit, Lacey, thank you. So we had a nice little chat, and she was like, don't leave. The next person might be crazy, and you're really nice. And I was like, I'm sorry, but I don't want to be here, babe. I was like, I like you a lot, but I have to go. So she wheeled me out. Adam went to get the car, and she wheeled me out. So we were just like making small talk while we were waiting for Adam, and she turns to me and she's like telling me about her time off, and I was like, well, I hope you enjoy your time off. And she's like, yes, my uncle passed away. It's been a difficult year for me. And I was like, oh, I'm really sorry. She's like, yeah, it was right after my sister died. We thought she was murdered. And I said, what? I was like, this is not funny, but you're handing me a murder mystery on the way out of the hospital?
Did she give you more information?
Yes. I was like, what happened, if you don't mind me asking? As if I wasn't going to ask a follow-up question. Come on. And she was like, well, she was really sick and she needed dialysis. She went and visited our parents, and she wasn't going to her dialysis appointments. So her doctor called and was like, where are you, dude? You need to go to dialysis. If you want, we can find a dialysis center closer to where you are if you want to go there. And she's like, no, I'm going to come home. But then instead of going to dialysis, she just drank a bunch of wine and ate a bunch of snacks that you're not supposed to eat while you're on dialysis. And then she died. And they were like, the husband did it. It's a high-ranking general, and he did the murder. But then you want to know how they cleared him? It was like just by happenstance. She happened to talk to a friend the day she actually died, which was a day before the general returned from overseas. And the friend was like, no, she was still alive.
Right. And she was like, on the phone. She was like, have you tried these Costco muffins?
Yeah, she's like, glug, glug, glug. I got a box of Franzia. So they found her. I'm sorry, it's not funny, but they found her, and they were like, well, the general found her, I guess. He came back, and they were like, oh, the general did it.
Was Shaq with him?
Yes, it was crazy. They all got insured. It was crazy. I know, it was crazy. And I was like, Lacey, I'm so sorry to hear this, but also because I'm a bad person, I was like, I can't wait to tell Lindy about the murder mystery of my nurse.
That's
so
incredible.
I know. And then off I went now, and then I got to go home. And since then, it's been actually not been bad. I feel like I've been punched in the gut repeatedly, but that still feels better than having an infected appendix.
Maybe that's what happened while you were out.
Yeah,
they gave you the finger, and then
they gave me a knuckle sandwich.
Yep.
You're right in the gut. But I just want to say thank you, everyone, for sending nice messages. And thank you, Lindy, for recording the podcast, because your intro is really funny.
I hopped on here and I was like, what? What do how do you do this alone? What do you mean?
I'm Meagan Hatcher Mays.
No, but in all seriousness, I'm very glad that you're okay. I was very worried, and I was texting you, but I didn't want to bother you too much. But also, I'm a worrier, so then I would not hear from you for a few hours, and then I would be like,
she gone.
Oh, and then you would be like, I'm so bored, I'm watching The Shining. And I was like, oh.
And Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Watch
yeah. I did like it when you were in the hospital, because normally you go to bed at like 10 o'clock and I can't text you anymore. I can't text you past like 6:30 at West Coast time. And I'm like, okay. But when you're in the hospital, I was texting you, it was like 4 a.m. in DC. And I knew you would be awake because of those nurses.
Fucking nurse was in there taking my vitals.
Yeah. So I was
here for your vitals. Good morning. Good morning. Are you sure? I don't know. Oh, one of my nurses was the nurse of the year. Shout out to Beth. Yeah, shout out to Beth. Thank you, girl. She rocked. Yeah. Anyway, you could do worse than Georgetown MedStar, even though you can't get there on public transportation. It's a very nice hospital. So.
Well, that's the lesson of the day.
I think the lesson of the day is listen to your body. Trust your stinks. It's not dramatic to go to the doctor. You know what would be the most dramatic thing ever is to die of appendicitis. That would be the most dramatic and completely unnecessary death ever. Don't do that. Go to urgent care.
I just stayed at home eating Costco muffins.
Yeah.
Until I exploded.
Correct. Go to urgent care. You don't need to mess around with it.
Yeah. So. I wish we had a better medical system here. Oh, as you were leaving, did they wave at you from the doorway and say, "This one's on the house"?
Yeah. They did.
Yeah.
They said, "We love the podcast.
Yeah.
Have a good one." No, I haven't gotten my bill yet. I do have insurance just to assuage everyone's fears, but insurance doesn't always cover everything, especially if you go to the ER. So I don't know how much this is going to cost, and I am scared. So that was a great time to join the Patreon.
Dude, one time, the reason I know so much about what it's like to be in the hospital is I've never been hospitalized, but I feel like Aham is hospitalized all the time.
Yeah.
He's just constantly hospitalized. So one time he was hospitalized because his heart was infected.
Oh.
Or like the lining around his heart was like swollen. I don't know.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called. So they admit him to the hospital. And it's like chaos in the hospital. Like there's so many different doctors. You don't really know who is your doctor. There's nurses coming, shifts are changing, whatever. So like I tell the very first doctor that we get to talk to, probably the very first nurse, I tell them when he is admitted, I'm like, he is on an antibiotic for some dental work. He has several antibiotic allergies. And one time he had Stevens-Johnson syndrome, which is where
where all your skin falls off. Yeah.
So he has very severe allergy to at least one antibiotic. And I was like, I want you to know that he's on this antibiotic. Do you think that could be it? And they were like, no, I don't know. Like they just kind of were like, okay, thanks. Yeah. And like didn't really pay attention.
Ugh.
He's in there for like 3 days. They're trying all this different stuff. They can't figure out what's wrong with him. He's having all these tests, blah, 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 blah.
And you're thinking, I already told him about the antibiotics thing. Surely I don't need to tell them 2 times.
I did mention it at least 1 to 2 more times to other people that came in.
Yeah.
Nobody cared. It's like day 4. And now, because he's in the hospital, he's not on the antibiotic anymore because he's been admitted to the hospital. And then he starts to get better.
Oh.
And they're like, yeah, we don't know why. He's better. We're going to send you home. And then I said, do you think perhaps he was having an allergic reaction to that antibiotic, and since he's just not been taking it since he's been here, he got better? And they were like, oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, that is probably it. And then they
that
sent us
cost
$7,000. That cost $7,000.
Oh, good.
And I'm the one that solved the medical mystery.
I'm Dr. Gregory House, MD.
And they literally did nothing. And then they charged us $7,000. And you know what, Megan?
Cool.
I haven't paid it. And that was like
Good.
10 years ago.
Don't. Yeah, well, whatever. Who cares? What do you need
cares?
What do you need to have good credit for? It really doesn't matter.
Well, it doesn't matter. And I think they stopped sending us bills. I think maybe because I think hospitals have a thing where they're like, you don't really have to pay this.
Yeah, it's all kind of fake. I mean, like if you get a hospital bill, you can always call them and be like, I can't pay this.
Yeah.
Would you take $300? And sometimes they'll be like, okay.
Yeah.
So that's my plan.
Yep.
If it's anything above $300,
yeah.
That's my plan.
Well, I can't wait to find out how that plays out.
You and the Text Me Back lights will be the first to know how much I owe this fucking hospital.
Yes.
And Dr. Evangelista. I love her.
She should do it. She should do it pro bono since she has all that supermodel money.
I know. I was like, what the hell, man? What else are you doing today, Linda?
Not to devalue her labor, but
she's Dr. Rebecca Evangelista, whatever. So yeah, so that's my tale of woe. And like I said, it's been a little spooky to be out of the hospital since.
Yeah.
But here's what I will say. I am proud of myself for going to the doctor.
Yeah.
I would like to internalize that lesson because it is important to take care of yourself because your body will do crimes to you. Especially as you age. So keep an eye on her.
Yeah. I'm proud of you too, and I'm really glad you're okay. And I don't like it that you had to go to the hospital.
I didn't like it either.
And
I forgot oh god, sorry. I feel like we tried to end this segment like 8 times, but I forgot the best part, which is that your mom, a former nurse, has also been checking in on me. And she texted me after I left the hospital and was like, you farting and pooping okay? I was like, yeah, thanks. That's a sign that you're healing, is that you're passing stuff through your intestines. Aww. I was like, I'm doing great. Thanks, Inky.
I farted out a whole McDonald's cheeseburger.
Yeah, I wish you could have seen it. And that's Appendect-isode. Well, co-host with all of her organs.
Freak of a human being.
Bizarro of medical science.
A puzzle missing just one piece.
I do wish Dr. Gregory House, MD, were here.
What would he
be
say?
Like, he would say, you're overdosing on termite frass. That was a real episode.
He said, no, Larry.
You're going to overdose some termite poop. That's what he was gonna say.
We got termites in my house. I don't know what's going on, but like I live in a house made of logs. And the other day, I was watching TV and like 5 termites came out of a little hole in the wall. And I was like,
oh, you should call someone.
Well, okay, we do. We have a exterminator that comes and sprays like once a month for termites and carpenter ants. So I think what had happened was that they just sprayed, and so the termites were like swarming and looking.
They're making a break for it,
escape from the poison. Yeah. But I also found 2 mice in my bedroom.
Ooh.
I found one mouse just almost dead at the foot of the bed, and I picked it up in a towel and I put it outside. And then the next day I found another mouse that was fully dead in the same spot, just on the carpet at the foot of the bed.
Oh my god.
So I don't know what the frick that means. If you're an exterminator, please let me know.
Yeah.
Because like 20 years ago, my parents used to use decon, which is rat, mouse poison. But then they stopped. But I'm like, is there secret poison somewhere in the house? So then I started to worry because these dead mice are just showing up on the rug, and I'm like, what the
Ew.
heck? And then what if Barry eats a poisoned mouse and then he dies of poison?
I don't think. I just saw this on Reddit, which is a fact-based medium.
Yes.
There's not enough poison in the mouse to poison a cat or dog.
Oh, good. Okay.
He'd have to eat a lot of them.
Well, he would love to, but yeah. So I never gave people closure on Barry's eyeball surgery. He has much improved vision from before. You can see him watching TV. You can see him watching the Frisbee. You can see it. It's very cute. Sometimes his eye looks really fucked up and red and droopy, and then you're like, oh, is your eye dead? Like, what He gone? But then it sort of clears up. So I don't know. He might just always have kind of one weird eye.
Well, good for him.
I would say that the surgery was worth it. So that's the Barry update.
Congrats, Barry.
Congrats to Barry, my baby
Everybody's
boy.
having fun little surgeries.
Yeah.
Well, we did it.
We did it.
Another sensational episode.
They're not making you wear a cone?
They're not. They said I could lick my sutures if I wanted to. Here's what's all going on. Here's what we got going on.
Yeah.
We're doing our phone bank
Yep.
on October 7th with our friends at Indivisible. We're making calls into Georgia, and we're going to do a little mini episode of the podcast. We're going to be talking about political snakes of that week. So make sure you sign up. The link is in the freaking show notes, bro, and lots of other places. So hope to see you there.
Up your ass.
Jeez. That's not how we do politics around here.
Yeah, it is.
And then October 15th, we're doing a live program at the Seattle Public Library at the main branch. What do they call that?
Central Downtown Big Boy Branch.
Rem Koolhaas.
Yeah.
So be there or be square. We're going to be doing a little news quiz. We're going to be talking about stuff. And we are going to have some special guests. So stay tuned, and we hope to see you there. The library did send me to collections. I will be litigating this at the public event. Be there.
Oh, yeah.
And then we've got a little live show again in Portland, Oregon. Actually, Beaverton, Oregon, at the Research Center for the Arts. Mm-hmm. That's on November 7th, right after the election.
Yeah, so we're doing a little election preview at the Seattle Public Library, and then we're doing a little election post view at the Research Center. So unclear whether or not we're going to have guests in Portland. We probably will find someone fun.
If you're a cool, famous person who lives in Portland,
let us know. We don't have any budget. We don't have a budget, so we can't fly anyone there, and we can't put you up in a hotel. But I can
pay for a lift, and we will kiss you consensually if you come.
So yeah, please reach out if you're a Portland-based celebrity.
Talking to you, Daniel Baldwin.
Oh God, I would love to have Daniel Baldwin.
I'm talking to you, Dame Lillard's ex-wife.
Yeah. Come give us the tea.
Call us if you could. So come see us. And I don't know. Was there other stuff? I've been in the hospital. What else happened? Oh, patreon.com/textmebackpod.
That's a good one.
We'd love to get some bucks off y'all for in exchange for podcasts. Yeah. We're doing all sorts of stuff on the Patreon.
Yeah, Megan's got to pay these medical bills. And also, I'm going to blame Megan's illness for the fact that we are not caught up on Too Shrill, Too Furious. But don't worry.
I'm going to do that as well.
There are episodes coming. Megan needs a couple more days to recuperate. And then we're going to start recording new episodes next week of Too Shrill, Too Furious Portland Drift.
It's really fun. It's been really fun to rewatch, and it's been fun talking to Lindy about it. We're getting all sorts of dish. You don't want to miss it. And if you join the Patreon, you can join our Discord, where the Discord members have started a cult.
Yeah.
And I guess they're shitting on the lawn. I don't know what they're doing in there, but you don't want to miss it.
I went into the Discord video games channel, and I was like, hey, I started playing Cult of the Lamb. Anyone want to talk about it? And they were like, oh, we just started a cult in one of the other channels. And I was like, oh boy. Well,
I am not liable for any of that.
Also, please Please don't play Cult of the Lamb because I don't want you getting any ideas.
I don't think you need any practice.
So
yeah, do all that stuff and give us a call. It's really fun. Podtax oof 703-829-0003. And thanks for all your well wishes. And
we love you.
We love you. Ma! Bye, bitch.
Thank you so much for listening to Text Me Back. If you like the show, please tell your best friend about us. Be sure to rate and review us. It helps people find the show. And most importantly, please support our Patreon so we can keep making this. It's patreon.com/textmebackpod. Text Me Back is a production of Meagan and Lindy, proud members of the BFF Network. Our senior producer is Megan Hatcher-Mays. Our other senior producer is me. Our show is supported by Co-Pilot Collective and produced by Allie Slice. Our digital strategist is Chance Nichols.
Diana Bowen is our video and creative wizard. Our production team includes Lindy West, Megan Hatcher-Mays, our loves, our anxieties, and our fears.
Our music is by Chief Ahamefule J. Oluo.
Special thanks to our perfect angels, Jeannie Yandel, Brandy Fullwood, and Isolde Raftery.
I'm Lindy West.
And I'm Megan Hatcher-Mays. See you next week. Mwah!